So if you go here, right there, you'll see this perspective grid tool, right? So if you click that, so it has two tools in here, perspective grid, perspective selection tool. So I'm going to go to perspective grid, and you see, as soon as you click on that, let me get rid of it. If you're just, because I've had people do this that are working for me, they click this. Oh, that's weird. It's not giving it back to me. There it is. They'll click this and then they go, I can't get rid of this thing. And then they go up here to this little button with a little X on it, and they can't get rid of it. You have to be on the perspective tool to get rid of it again. And then you click this and it'll go away. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
I'm
you.
going to click it. And there it is. Okay. Now you can go up here. Yeah. Perspective grid right here. And I can go 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. Okay. So today we're just doing 2 points. Make sense?
Yes.
And I can pull this out. I can pull the vanishing point out further. I can raise this up. I can pull this down. Make the grid bigger or smaller. These can get pulled out like that. This one, we'll pull it down more like that. Okay, so I can, so let's do this. Just as a starting point. Okay, does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, let me see if I can just do this in here, and we'll start with this. Now, it has two tools in here, and we'll get into this right now. Let's just go. I'm going to group this thing, just make it easier. Now I'm going to go, I'm on, this is the perspective tool we started on. I want to drop to selection. And I'm going to grab this, and you can see it's putting it in perspective. Boom. Does that make sense?
Yes.
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 Now, to manipulate it, I got to be on the perspective selection tool. Okay. Damn it, it's not letting me. See if I can do it this way. There it goes. Now, if I want to go to the other side, I got to click the plane. So this is the right plane, this is the left plane, and this is the bottom plane. So I'm going to click this one, and now I'm going to go. I don't have any good typefaces on here, but that's okay. And I'm going to go, run it a little heavier. Oh, let's do that. Now, again, here it is, it's floating around. I'm going to go to my perspective selection tool, grab it, move it. And now it goes into perspective. And if I wanted to, if I was doing some kind of graphic thing, I could pull it out, hold my shift key, hold it out. Wherever I put it, it's going to put it into perspective. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, if I was going, okay, all that's good, and I'm going to move on, I would go, I'm still in my perspective, or I'm on my perspective whatever selection thing. I'm going to go up here, get rid of it, and now it's gone, and there it is. Now, if I take it now, it's not going to keep going into perspective because I got rid of that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I'm going to want you guys to do is this. There's a couple ways you can do this. You could come in here. Hang on. I'm going to switch grids. I'm going to switch to this one. Go here. Then I'm going to switch grid to this one, to the right one. Then I'm going to say the light's to the right up here. So I'm going to take this one and go a little darker. And I can come up with some more interesting. I'm going to do this very basic. Oops. Now I'm going to switch over to the other grid. Oops, not on it. There. And I'm going to go take both of these, go up here to go object, arrange, send it back. And then maybe let's go. Oops, we're on the wrong plane. So I want to switch to this plane again. Oops. Let's make this one like this. I'm going to go to my perspective selection tool, hold Option, and go Control D, Control D. And I could do that on the other side. This one, let's go. Still on the flat plane. I'm going to my marquee square tool here. Let's go a little lighter. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my selection tool, my perspective selection tool, Option, holding Shift. I'm going to hold Shift again, drag them down. Maybe go one more, Control D. D should be lighter. Actually, this should be darker. Let's just make that darker. There. Now, this bottom one here, let's go back to our perspective tool. We're on our perspective right there. This bottom one is the ground plane. So I'm going to go and again, I'm going to go object, arrange, send it back. For some reason it's got a weird, there we go. It's getting stuck for some reason. It did something funky with the shape. Oh, that's why. Somehow I did a funky shape. I don't know how I did that. Let me do that again. too close to this color, so I'm gonna go a little lighter. There we go. And I could pull this out, so on and so forth. And then I could come in here, maybe go to a lighter value. A sidewalk around it. And you got to be on your perspective selection tool to move that shape around. Then I got to tell it to go back again. Actually, I'm going to grab both of these. It's in the back. And, I just built a little city, a couple more buildings. You could go. You can get a round shape in there on the wherever you want. And maybe build. Oops. Let's do it this way. I'm going to go on to back to my this. I want to grab this. I'm going to go. And I could marry these two together and get a round looking building if I want. I could probably. Let's do this. Go back to the ground plane. And I could put. What do you call that? The stripes in the street. I could put lights, whatever you call them, street lights. I could do all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, here's another thing you can do. I could go to another window. I could do it in that too, but for some reason, I just like to do it in another window or in another document. If I want to do it, make it a little more complicated. Let's get rid of that. And let's just go to this. And then let's say I want to get a little more complex looking building. I can build things. And I'm going to take this, get up close here. There's my little buttons because I don't want that to be a hard edge. Then I could take this, maybe make this a little thinner. Let's make this a little thinner. Oops. And I'm going to pull it up here. And let's get this a little. Let's get this where we have that going. Let's make this a little more wood looking. There we go. Make sure this is on top. Let's pull this down a little bit. Now I'm going to put a little shadow value here. That's the same color. I'm going to go to transparency, multiply, make sure this is in front. Now I could get a little fancier with these windows, but I'm not going to. Let's go a little lighter. And a little lighter. Now I could put a curtain in there. I could do all that kind of stuff. I could put the frame in it. Actually, I'm going to put a frame in it. You know, and then maybe down here it's a door or something. And this would be a different color. I don't know what color that would be. Maybe it's got a color. And I could put brick, whatever. I could create a brick texture, whatever I want to do. You know, maybe another one of these. I changed this color for the ledge. It doesn't feel right to me. That's all right. Now you got to, when you're doing this, you got to kind of figure things out because you're going to have this overlap right here. So I'm going to go, and I'm just going to group it. Control G, Control C. Come in here. Go Control. What am I on? Let's go to here. Let's make sure I'm on the perspective tool. Then I can check that. And then it'll put it into perspective for me, the whole thing. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go bing. Oop, I got to go back to my perspective tool, take that plane. Remember, you got to be in the perspective tool for the plane thing to work, or kind of anything to work in this. I'm going to go Control V again. Now it's on this one, you know, and then I'd have to figure out to get it to line up in here. Not quite on it. Right there. Now, here's where you get the little funkiness right there. Oops. So sometimes what I'll do is you know, the side that's going to overlap, I'll do this sometimes. The side that's going to overlap, I'll make sure that it just butts up against her so they don't conflict, where the corners are going to meet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know, and I'd have to tweak all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. But I could get a more complex building kind of idea if I want to do that. Make sense?
Yes.
That's all I want you to do. Now,